Welcome to episode 3 of With Love, Vanessa. You catch me just sitting with lemons, sitting in nature. I find myself part of a still life here. Actually, occasionally I just have to check, am I still alive? A still life. Yes, I am. I am throbbing. I am ticking. I am elevating everyday experience. I am sitting here with lemons. Come and share that experience with me. With Love, Vanessa, episode 3. I think you'll agree that some things in life should never see the light of day. I mean, I'm thinking about sex toys, rampant rabbits, vibrators. You don't want them on show. We know they exist, but when we're elevating our lives, we don't want to draw too much attention to them. And I feel very strongly the same about this. Now, I normally keep this in my kitchen, but under wraps, so nobody can see it. I put it in a beautiful, actually very elevated ceramic pink pot, which I think somebody once gave me from Anthropology, and I cover it in a linen napkin with a little lace inset. You see there that lovely sort of broderie anglaise effect. But what is actually concealed there, and what am I going to elevate for you today? Well, I like to call it the Pot Noodle. This is the Pot Noodle, and obviously we don't want to put that on display and show it, but it does exist. So how am I going to elevate that for you today? Well, I'm going to put it back in its container so we don't have to desecrate our eyes or devastate our sense of taste by, staring too long upon this, rather unsightly plastic exterior. So that goes back in the little pochet that I've got there. We open this sachet and we pour on the contents like that, which will give it a little flavour. And then here is a kettle that I boiled earlier. I boiled it so you don't have to. Now let's pour that on the contents like that. And we fill it up to the designated level. And it has to steep, that's what I call it, steep in the boiling water for just a little while. And while it's steeping and while it's gaining body and force, that kind of life force that propels us on and on, sometimes it propels us to make a fantastic marriage. Sometimes in my case, a disastrous marriage, and then you've got to get yourself, pick yourself up, dust yourself off. You've got to start somehow all over again. But before our eyes, or indeed concealed under this elegant napkin, a little miracle, a little culinary miracle is happening. The Pot Noodle is taking on a life force all of its own. It shows that life is not perfect. It's tangled, it's convoluted, it's in some cases discombobulated. There's nothing sensible about the knot of noodles that occur in a Pot Noodle. However, once the miracle has occurred, and let me give it just a little stir. Oh my gosh, what is actually happening here? They're very congealed at the bottom. This isn't quite as I imagined it would be. It's a bit soupy, quite frankly. But anyway, this is one of my favourite dishes and one that I'm absolutely desperate to elevate for your delectation. Once the noodle has done its utmost and been absorbed into that gushing wave of boiling water in the most toothsome manner you can imagine, here is the secret to elevation and turning a humble Pot Noodle into a little haven of joy. And this is it. You take sparkling crystal goblets. Look at those. And you put them there, and into them you spoon a little helping of the Pot Noodle. And here it is. And suddenly, look at that. You could be dining at the Colombe d'Or in the south of France. You could be eating at the Ritz. This is not a humble life in your Stepney Council flat. This is living the life that you always dreamed of living, like a Disney princess. With this, you put an exquisite linen napkin in a beautiful napkin ring that somebody, actually, Uncle Sam Beckman might have bought you as a wedding present when you were a young bride. Of course, that wedding didn't last, that marriage. And you just, I would say ease the napkin into the napkin ring as best you can. Maybe marriage of napkin ring isn't necessarily the most aesthetically pleasing, but you have your crystal, you have your napkin in your napkin ring, you have your ancestral cutlery, in this case, Mountbatten Windsor, felts and felts. It's felts, the felts cutlery from the felts collection. You place the crystal on an exquisite platter. You place the napkin ring and the napkin beside it. You place the ancestral cutlery next to it. And there you have it, the elevated Pot Noodle for your delectation. I'm so excited to elevate your life even further. Now I want to introduce you to a high-end 5-star luxury biscuit, sometimes we call them biscuit, that you may never have experienced. I like to call it the custard creme. Now the custard creme is a rarefied biscuit, and it's true that if you're just trudging along in a humdrum pedestrian life, you may never have encountered the custard creme. But let me put a stop to all that. I'm going to say to you, go for it. Invest in a packet of these, because you've got to invest in your dreams. You've got to occasionally you may even have to pay someone to come over and bring with them a happy ending to relieve you of your tension, and that way you will get a good night's sleep. I call that investing in my dreams. Just sometimes you have to lay out to make out. That's the way I like to think of it. But anyway, the custard cream, the custard creme is something that will bring a little sprinkle of loveliness to your life. It's perfectly darling. So let me open the packet and show you what we find inside. So let me find a nice unbroken one. Although I understand you can buy broken ones if your budget is really, really tight. So we have here a custard creme. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to spark joy, and I'm going to add élan by, look at this, you see, splitting it into 2 halves. Then you scrape away the custard creme filling. You just put it into a bowl, or absolutely delicious. Oh, that's absolutely gosh, that's fabulous. So anyway, you scrape away that, and then you'll find you've got 2 sweet matching cute little halves of a biscuit. So darling, they're so small. Absolutely ravishing, really. They're lovely. They remind me, they're so small and matching and perfectly balanced. They remind me of the testicle of the man I love more than life itself. They're small, delicately put together, very similar. You can't really tell one from the other. The testicular sort of element to a sexual relationship. They sort of remind me a little bit of that. Anyway, so there we are. Now, how do we elevate the custard cream? Well, I like to use one of my homemade preserves. I don't know how come my homemade preserve has got a Tesco label on that. That's very strange. I'll have to speak to that supermarket chain about this. You take a little spoon, you take a little bit of your homemade preserve, you spread it in a darling manner upon 1 half of the testicular custard creme. You then make what I would like to call a really sweet biscuity sandwich. So you've got your jam sandwich, look at that, of preserve inside your custard cream. You put it on the platter. I've got a beautiful gold platter, well, it's actually plastic. But when Netflix does take up the challenge and start broadcasting with Love Vanessa, then I will buy some, oh my God, real platters. And then you take what I like to call squirty creme, and you just pipe a little, look at that, I call that a little regal crest of squirty creme on top of your custard creme. And then you've got double creme, and who doesn't love a double creme? I can do the same thing because I am quite versatile that way. And my imagination, I'm just letting it run riot on with Love Vanessa. I hope you'll agree. I'm taking you on a vaulting voyage of excavation and exploration every single episode. So I thought, why stop at the custard creme? I mean, what's the reason for that? Why let life stop you at all? Don't let life stop you. Don't let your old friends hold you back. When you've had enough and you need to move on up, as Heather Small say, you moving on up, you moving on. Let your old friends go. They were once your friends. Who needs them now? You don't need them. Just get rid of them. Don't ask any family members to your wedding. Absolutely, because what do you need family members for? Who needs it? You're moving on up, moving on out. And so I'm moving from the custard creme to the Bourbon biscuit. Now, I thought of marrying a Bourbon prince, marrying into the Bourbon royal family, but I just didn't get to meet any. I couldn't get Lizzie Cundy to introduce me to any, so I didn't actually. It's one of the few things in life I regret and haven't succeeded in. But anyway, here's my biscuit. And it's very much the same principle for elevation. So cut through into the heart of the bourbon biscuit. Scrape out. Oh dear, no, you don't want to do that. That's a bourbon casualty. I give it a little pat and send it on its way. And maybe after filming, we'll have a small funeral, a little requiem, because even bourbon biscuits have a soul. You know, it's very important to remember that. So let's start again. And I hope you're going to be more careful and better at this than I have been. So very, very gently, you just slice through the heart. Oh, look at that. That was successful. Of your bourbon biscuit. 2 halves. These are a little long and a little darker than the 2 spherical test de clay that I'm used to. So they don't remind me of my particular relationship now, but maybe of a previous relationship, a little bit dangly, a little bit dark. Anyway, you scrape away that chocolatey filling. You see, absolutely delicious. And then replace it and elevate it with your homemade preserve. So you take a little on a teaspoon, put it on your half a bourbon. You spread it through and around. It's got a lovely, fruity, strawberry, robust preserve feeling. Pop the lid back on like that. Pop it on. Your squirty creme. Make a nice long shape, a little like a coat of arms, a little like the gate of the Tower of London. And just as a garnish, just to give that wonderful upscale elevation, an extra dollop of joy and loveliness, we take the dried flowers from the With Love Vanessa, North London, BP Garage, Henley's Corner range, and we give it a little sprinkle, a garnish of joy. And that is with love. Oh, just didn't put that in. Just edit that bit out. With love, Vanessa. As part of my mission to elevate you and elevate your life and elevate everything about you, not just the way you sleep, not just what you eat, not just the gifts that you give your beloved friends if you've known for all of 5 minutes, not just that, but also the way you speak and what you talk about. Because I don't want you discussing something dreary like the weather. I want you discussing something that ignites your soul and brightens your brain, enlivens your day. And to that end, let me introduce to you a wonderful adornment to elevate any conversation. The Conversazione piece. Now, what does conversazione mean? It is the Italian for conversation. Conversazione. The conversazione piece. What does that mean? It means you produce something, you make it part of your tablescape, and it evokes and provokes a conversation. So in this case, you produce this objet, French for object, you probably don't know that, I do know that, and you bring it out and you simply make it part of your tablescape like this, and it evokes and provokes a conversation, right, Mark?
Yes, Vanessa Felt. Is that a pink polar bear?
Mark, you're right. This is a pink polar bear. That's what I mean. You see, look at that conversation. It got it flowing. It suddenly sparked joy. We weren't saying anything to one another. We were just making a television program, and suddenly, is that a pink polar bear? Yes, you're right, Mark. It is a pink polar bear. He's learned something. I've given him the gift of thought and conversation. That is how a conversazione piece works. I hope you have one in your home. If you haven't, I suggest you get one immediately. And then I'd love to hear from you. And you can tell me, Vanessa, with love, this is what happened when I bought my own conversazione piece. Something to talk about. When you have a guest to stay, the ideal thing is to care for your guest, body, soul, mind, and spirit. And what better way to do that than make sure they have a wonderful warm bath, bathing in the most luxurious bath salts. Now, I like to make my own because I think that gives an extra fillip of Vanessa love. And this is how I do it. I take some bath salts that I was given for Christmas by someone who obviously doesn't like me very much, and I pour them into a glass jar like this. I'm sure you can do just the same. If you don't have any bath salts given to you for Christmas that you don't really like much, you simply take some Epsom salts, which are a very basic price, and you pour them into a little glass jar. Funnily enough, I think this jar originally had some bath salts in it that I didn't like very much. So I think they're bath salts in a bath salty jar. It's kind of like bath salts going home, isn't it? They're going home to the jar that bore them. It's a beautiful return. It's return of the salts. It's a lovely thing. So find joy in every tiny detail in your life. That's what I like to do. So you have your bath salts here. Now, just in case they're not salty enough, you add some table salt. I am going to be marketing this table salt, so you can buy exactly the same one that I'm using, which will make you feel as if your life is elevated. You'll be thinking, Vanessa, wow, this is salt that you yourself are using. I'm like, yes, absolutely. So I'm selling this salt for £7.50 sterling in the Vanessa Feltz Salty Tears, Salty Love Northern Jubilee line. That is what it is called. You'll find those for £7.50 a bottle. So sprinkle some salt in the salt. Look at that, a double salted life. You salt your salt in life. That way, life is full of flavour and piquancy. When you cry, salt. When you swim, salt. When you put salt on salt, it's double salt. That is elevating salt by doubling the salt quota. Now, what do I do next? I add a little bit of lavender. That's a lavender oil. Beautiful essential oil of lavender. Salt, lavender. Salty, sweet, sharp. It's beautiful. Then I take a little bit of basil oil. It's fresh. Gosh, look at that. Very basil-y. In fact, some people say basil. It's very basil-y. And you put a little bit, a couple of sprinkles of basil on the salt. And then, this is my personal favourite, this is the CBD oil. Now, this should make you feel as if you're having a great bath, even if the bath is a sorry disappointment. And I would be pretty generous with the CBD oil, actually. I would definitely... Oh, sorry, I forgot. I was just filming there. Just lots and lots of CBD oil. And then you'll find your attitude is mellow. And if you can find a nice fellow to wallow with you in the bath, you and a fellow could wallow and be mellow. CBD oil. Lovely. Now, sorry, hang on a minute. And then you stir. I think you get these free from Itsu, actually. You give a little stir to the salt to make sure that all the essences and all the salty goodness mingle and make a wonderful coalescence, a collage of scent. Oh, God, it's absolutely fantastic. It's a bit like, what's that stuff you squirt up your nose? Like Otravine, Sudafed. My nasal passages are clearing in this miraculous way. God, I really recommend this. Is an absolutely tremendous idea, though I say it myself. Look at those wonderful, sweet-smelling, nasal passage clearing, snot-removing, cold-curing bath salts. But Mark, didn't you say there was something I had to say at this point? Is there some kind of legal restriction here?
Yeah, well, it could cause skin irritation, Vanessa.
Oh, yeah. Actually, I should tell you, probably avoid using these bath salts in the bath. Don't use them in the bath, and definitely don't use them as salt, because if you do develop a skin irritation, please don't come suing me. That's my disclaimer. Lots of joy. Elevate, elevate, elevate.